thought I had the camera on when I sewed the bottom together here. Apparently I didn't. I never know sometimes. I just don't. Let's turn it out, see how it came out. Had to trim a little, not a big deal. But, as we all know, turning these things right side out can be the challenge. Even though this is just a 4-ounce leather, it's a fairly firm leather. Oh, it's so much fun turning these things out. There are harder ones. The tote was really easy though. Kind of press these ends. Might take a hammer and tap those down a little bit. There we go. So far so good. All I gotta do is make the handles, and I'm still debating on how I'm going to do that. I'm going to let my wife have some input on the handle style. She likes the rope handles that the way I did the handles on the Tootsie Tote, and I may do that on this. I'm just not 100% sure yet. We'll see. So after I was finished out here last night, I went back in the house, had some dinner, and showed my wife this bag, and at the stage that I'm at, and she really liked the stitching and stuff, and she thought it was a pretty decent bag. And I'm looking at it, and I was thinking to myself, something looks off about it. Something looks out of proportion. And I don't know, maybe you'll notice it. I think it looks too tall for the width of the bag and the footprint. I like the footprint because it's a little wider at the bottom than a lot of bags are. A lot of these tote bags seem like they're really too narrow at the bottom. 3 inches, 3 inches. I like them. I think they're a little more useful if they're a little wider at the bottom. Just my personal thoughts. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't carry a bag. The bag I do carry has got a shoulder strap, and it's made for carrying a laptop. Anyway, so I looked at it and it just seemed like it was too tall. I don't know. Maybe you can give me something in the comments. a pattern that I used to have that I reworked a little bit to give it a little wider bottom than it had before. And maybe that was the wrong thing to do. So I think what I want to do, and it's a little flared out there too, but maybe I want to narrow the bottom a little bit. I don't know. Can't really decide. I'm kind of thinking I should narrow the bottom and maybe flare it a little bit, flare it out. Because the bottom, I think the bottom is a good width. This is all part of the design process. So our width, we actually have it's about 11 inches wide at the bottom. Now the Tootsie Tote, if you looked at that, it has a flare to it. It flares towards the top. And it flares about 3 inches from bottom to top. And I think that was a good flare to it. So I could do that with this bag too, and I think maybe that's the way to go. Leave me a comment. Drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Do I shorten the bag altogether, which means I'd have to put a smaller pocket on it as well, which maybe the pocket is just throwing me off too. Maybe the pocket's just too big. It does seem a little big, so maybe I'm a little off. Originally I designed the pocket to be smaller. This is the inside pocket, and it is quite a bit smaller than this pocket. And this will hang from the rivet holes up here. So it is quite a bit smaller. But this is kind of why we prototype too, so we can get an idea of what it looks like. So, and I always try to finish my prototypes unless they are way, way messed up. So I will finish this bag, because it's not messed up. It is a decent bag yet. But I'm kind of at a loss. I think flaring it would be nice. I need to go a little wider with my handle down here, because I think I went too narrow with that. I went 5 inches between the rivet holes. I think I need to go probably 7. Need to go another inch on either side, which is okay. I mean, that's how we do it. That's what prototyping is all about. So I will move those on the pattern. It's easy enough to change. Yeah. So I'll just have to get after that. I think I'm going to try to do one of these, maybe. I got another leather there that looks pretty cool. I might do one out of that. I think it's a lot lighter though. I'll have to take a look at it. I will do that more of the down and dirty way. I won't do this double top stitch. Although that really looks nice. My wife really did like that a lot. So do I. All the white, the light colored, it's a natural colored top stitch. It really looks nice. I do have to say that. So, now that I've kind of sitting here staring at it, talking to you folks, leave me some comments on what your thoughts are. I'm going to go make a handle for this. I'm going to use the same leather. I don't know why I only cut 3 pieces. I need one more, so I'll have to cut one more strap. I'm going to start out with 2 pieces, 36 inches long. And I'm going to... Yeah. It's that, or I got to grab a piece of 8 to 9. I don't have any drum dyed or pre-dyed leather in an 8 to 9. I would have to dye my own. And this is 4 ounce, so 2 pieces would give me 8 ounce. That makes a good handle, I think. So I need to stitch 2 together, which gives me a little more of that top stitch. I think it's going to look pretty cool. Doggone it. Why? So I'm going to get after that. I'll I'll probably just use some tape to hold it. Nah, I might glue it. I don't know. I am going to cut these down to 3/4 of an inch. I think an inch is probably wider than I need. So I'll cut these down to 3/4 of an inch. I'll cut a 4th strap so I got enough. And we'll get after it. So I cut my handle pieces at 36 inches. And I'm going to try 2 different handles. My wife really likes the handle that I've made for her bag, the Tootsie Tote, that has a piece of leather belting in it. I don't have any more of that, and I don't know that I want to put that in there. It's just another thing that I got to have in stock and all the time. And I do have some of this. This is a 3mm natural cotton cord. I do some macrame too. I do a lot of things. I think if I put this inside there, after a little skiving, it'll be perfect to punch some stitch holes and stitch that around there. And that might be okay. It might be a little small. If it is, I'll probably do a sample piece is what I'm going to do. I've got a scrap piece here. I'll probably do a sample of this, skive it down, and stitch some of this in there and see how it looks, how it feels. It's big enough for my hand anyway. And I think that's what I'll do first. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show it to you what I got. The cotton cord is not going to cut it. I don't like it. It goes in the trash can. Back to plan A. I'm just going to do 2 layers of this cord. This is at 1 inch wide, and I'll show you when I get there, but I'll trim it down to 3/4 after I glue it up, and then I'll stitch all the way around, and I will stitch and rivet it to the bag just because that top stitch looks so nice. And that's where I'm going to come back. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it together just because it'll leave me a nicer looking edge. I'll probably just mostly glue around the edges. I don't know how well the glue is even going to hold, but we'll see. Hopefully it holds good enough. I'm going to get 2 straps glued up to make my handles. I did cut these I wasn't sure about the length of my handles. I went 36 inches on this. If it winds up being too long, I'll kind of place it on there and get a feel for it. If it's too long, I'll cut it back to 34. I did kind of set one on here. Just put a clip on it, just to get a feel of where it was going to be. Oh, in there. Kind of sounds hollow in the bag. But it seems like a lady would be able to get her arm in there, get that over her shoulder pretty easy. I think so. So I think 36 is where I'm going to go with it. And once it's doubled up, it'll be a little stiffer. So that's what I'm going to do. That's where I'm going to go with it. Yeah. There's only so many women I know that I can ask about something like that. My wife being one of them. My boss's wife would be happy to contribute too, I'm sure. So I'll probably ask her too. So that's where I'm going to go. Those silver fabric pens that I use rubs right off if you get it on there, so no problem. That's what I'm going to do. Glue these up and I'll get back. I'm going to show you a little trick that I try to get my straps to a perfect 3/4 of an inch when I glue up a strap like this. So I've got 2 pieces of 1 inch. Pardon me a second, that's an alarm. So don't forget to take my pills, which I took before I came out to the shop today. If you look close, it's not a perfect match. And you're not going to get it every time either, so don't try. It's not going to be perfect every time. We can't be perfect every time. So what I did is I set my strap cutter to 1 inch, and then I took off about 1/8. because I want a 3/4 inch strap in the end. So I'm going to take an 1/8 off, then I'm going to flip the strap and run it, take another 1/8 off here, and I'm going to take another 1/8 off the other side. That's going to give me a nice even edge on both sides. That's the plan anyhow. So let's see if it works. I may have to put a new blade in this thing too, I don't know. And the glue doesn't hold this leather real well. It really kind of stinks. You have to hold this so it just feeds through there nice. Alright, so that's all I took off. It's not even really an 1/8. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust this in. Not quite to 3/4. I want to leave myself a little bit just in case I need to take another tad bit, little bit off. Seems to work better holding it this way. I'm using my fingers down here to kind of guide it. Since it is just a narrow strap, I can kind of reach around the handle and still hold the strap and guide it, and then I'm pulling it through with my other hand, still holding it against the strap cutter. Alright, let's take a ruler, see how close we are. Just a touch over 3/4 of an inch. And you know what? There's the edge. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and make my stitch line. I'm going to round out my ends. I'm going to try something a little different on the ends, but I'm going to trim my ends, then I'm going to stitch it and bevel it and burnish it and get ready to attach it to the bag, and I'll come back before I do that, show you what the stitching looks like on it when we're done. Yeah, I will only stitch probably to about right here, because I'm going to stitch across and down around when I attach it. I did leave enough where I got to trim the ends off anyway, so not too big a deal. So it'll probably wind up being 35.5 inches when it's all said and done. So I'll be back.